This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at Little Fish Theater for the opening of Taking Sides by Ronald Harwood.
My name is Ashton Marcus, KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
Richard Perloff. Well, I've been acting for about, 45 years or so? I don't know, maybe that can't be right, 35 years. Now do a couple of shows here every year at Little Fish. I was playing Wilhelm Furtwangler, the German conductor. At the time, he was regarded as one of the great orchestral conductors in the world, and the debate in the play is why he stayed as the Nazis were coming to power when a lot of his contemporaries in the arts were leaving the country.
Yeah. How did you actually transmorph yourself into that character? Did you do a lot of research? Do you have a lot of musical background?
I do have some musical background, and I listened to a fair amount of the music that he's associated with as I was preparing for the role, but really the playwright's done a lot of that work for me. The arguments are very clear. It's very evident what his explanation is for why he stayed in the country. It's just he just finds himself, in opposition with a guy who's not prepared to accept those explanations.
Yeah. You did a very stunning performance. It was very moving. Again, all I have to ask you is basically, how did you get into that? How did you focus on that character?
Well, I'm as an artist, as an actor, my allegiance is to the writer. And when somebody has written a role so beautifully, he kind of takes you he kind of points you where you need to go. And it's my job just to follow the signs.
And how long have you been acting?
Okay, let me get this right this time. 18, almost 40 years now.
What kind of advice can you give to younger actors who actually want to get into the business? Who actually want to be great artists like that? What kind of advice can you give?
I think the most important thing is to have a sense of perspective. There's so many things that fall under the general topic heading of acting. Do you want to be in movies? Do you want to do television? Do you want to be on stage? And you have to focus where it is that your passion lies. For me, being in front of the live audience was always what I wanted to do, and nothing else really provides that satisfaction for me.
Why is that? You can make more money in movies and TV. You'll get a lot more fame. Why the theater?
I've done enough to know that the experience is just it's kind of empty for me. When you're shooting a movie and the crew is there, but they can't really react, and everything is done out of sequence. Here, a play begins, and 2 hours later it ends, and you live that life live right in front of the audience, and that's the experience I enjoy. That exchange of energy is what I really crave.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
My pleasure.
My name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And you're?
Jim Rice. I've been acting and directing in Orange County and LA for the last almost 30 years. I started when I was 1988. And I've done about 100 or more shows in one way or another, mostly working in the LA, Orange County area. I play Helmuth Rhoda. Helmuth Rhoda was someone who was caught up by the Nazis and used as a mole to report back on Furtwangler and others who were suspected of not being loyal. He did that to kind of save his own skin. And so now with the occupation, he's kind of caught with trying to make sure everything turns out okay, as much to save them as to save himself.
Yeah, I loved your performance, even though you were a bit player.
Thank you very much. It's in a play like this, it's fun to play that character because he has his whole life, and you just come in and try to live that life, and so it's very, very kind of you to say so. It's fun to play that.
And any kind of advice you can give to younger actors?
The best thing you can do is get in as many shows as you can get in. Any chance you have to audition or and actual play with other actors, you'll always grow and become stronger. I went to class. I was at the conservatory at Santa Ana College way long ago, and I think that's valuable. But the best thing is is getting in with other actors. For me, working with these actors has been a great education, and makes me stronger as an actor. And I feel, water raises all boats. But that's the best advice. Just work in anything you can work at.
All right. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hello. Yes, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, New York.
I listen. I'm Patrick Vest. I got my master's degree in acting from the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. I've been a member of Shakespeare by the Sea and this company here, Little Fish Theater, since 2002. I've done hundreds of plays in my life, and I love Shakespeare. I'll be directing this summer as well, As You Like It, for Shakespeare by the Sea. I play Major Steve Arnold. Steve Arnold is a former insurance guy, a claims assessor, who is put in charge of a preliminary investigation into Wilhelm Furtwangler, and his job is to establish whether or not he benefited from the Nazi regime if he was part of the party.
Your character, would you put him as the villain or the anti-hero?
I don't know. I wouldn't call him a villain. I think the thing about this play is that everybody has a very specific point of view, and they buy it. They really believe it. And Steve Arnold believes in his vision of black and white and what's truthful and what's not. And he wants to break him down and just get him to admit that he benefited by being part of the regime.
Yeah. Usually, I personally love villains or anti-heroes because there's so much meat in it. It's everyone else you're just playing yourself, or you're playing a character who was very two-dimensional. Uh-huh. Your character was not. It was very complex, many layers. What do you think about that?
I thank you. That's I think that the more you're sort of driving the play, the more you have to play with. And so I'm the pot stirrer, and I'm definitely the hammer in the play. And it's great, and you get to play so many different things, and
So how did you do it? How did you get into the character?
It's, you come a lot from yourself in anything you do, obviously. But it's funny, when I read the play, I understand this guy, and I know people like him he's not cultured. He doesn't believe in music as this great, humanizing thing. He doesn't understand that. He just believes in facts and black and white, and he's been an insurance guy his whole life. And one of my best friends is a cop. And I talk to him about things, and it's like, well, the world is round. We're going to get that guy. There's a drug dealer. It's just how he sees the world. And you see that, and that's sort of how I approach this. He sees the world in black and white. I'm going to get this guy. That's my job. And, he deserves to go down.
Is there any advice you can give to younger actors on how to become better artists?
Well, study. Do plays and get into class and keep studying. Do the great plays too. Don't do showcases to talent agents. Do great plays. Do Shakespeare. Do Chekhov. Do stuff like this, and that's how you get better.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, hi.
Hello, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM, and you are?
I'm Tara Donovan. I'm actually the managing director here at Little Fish. I've been working here for about a year, and this is my first performance with them. But I've been acting since I was 7, and went to college, got my degree in theater, and moved to LA to produce TV and film, and of course found my way back to my first love of theater. I played Emmy Straub. She is the secretary to Major Arnold. Emmy is she's a German, and her father was part of the plot to kill Hitler, so that's why she keeps being referenced as being famous in this town. And she's gotten this job, taken a job as a secretary, working for Major Arnold in this pursuit of William Furtwangler.
And your job as managing director, what does that encompass?
So our artistic directors set the season, and then I'm responsible for carrying it out. I produce the shows. I hired all the personnel. I work with the directors to do casting and oversee any needs they need with personnel or production needs. I also manage our lovely staff of volunteers that we had. You met many of them tonight. So I manage the volunteers. I keep in touch with all the company members because we do have a company of actors. And then little odds and ends of managing anyone that works here, things needing repair, and representing us to the community at community meetings and things like that.
You were involved in casting in this play also?
Actually, this play was pre-cast. We didn't hold auditions for it. Stephanie, the director, has been working here a long time, and all of these actors have done multiple shows, either with Little Fish or with Shakespeare by the Sea, our sister company. And so she kind of handpicked who she wanted in these roles. Yeah.
Okay, well, any advice you can give to younger actors who want to get into the business?
Oh, I think that studying. I think, a lot of actors grow up wanting to be famous, and I think that you have to love what you do because it's a hard business to make a great living at, or, and if you're just looking for fame, do a reality show. But if you really want to do theater, especially, or really great film and television, you have to study the classics, you have to study the contemporaries, and be really well-read as far as plays go, and keep up to date on what's being produced.
How did you focus yourself into this role? Because again, I just love this performance. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Focus into it. I mean, I worked really hard on the dialect and kind of coming up with sort of a stillness but yet a rigidness to her. It's very different than my own personality. I'm pretty outgoing and open and free, and Emmy's everything the opposite of that. And Stephanie kept saying, you need to be more German. So, that meant kind of take it down and be a little more stoic. And so a lot of learning the accent, the dialect really helped with that, because it is a very tight accent. The way you hold your mouth and everything in that is very tight. So it kind of helped feed into the character from there.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm Ashton Marcus with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
I am Cy Brown. I have been doing shows here at the Little Fish Theater. I think I've done about 3 or 4 shows with Stephanie Coltrane, who's a director that I've worked with before. And then I also do the Shakespeare program here, Shakespeare by the Sea. Last summer I got to play Hamlet, which was fantastic, and I think I've done about 5 or 6 other shows with them. I've been working with them for quite a while. In this play, I am playing Lieutenant David Wills. David Wills is a guy who was born in Germany, and his parents got him out of Germany before Hitler came to power, because he's Jewish, and they kind of saw what was coming. They, however, did not get out of Germany, and so they were sent to the concentration camps. So he's here in America or in Germany, kind of as someone who's had a history in this city before. And he is, kind of sitting back and watching Major Arnold interview Dr. Furtwangler to see if there's any case against him, if he was a Nazi or not. I think symbolically he kind of represents the everyman. I think he is the audience on stage. He comes into this situation not really having his mind made up over this conductor, whether he's guilty or not guilty. As the play goes on and he hears more and more facts, he definitely comes to a decision about Dr. Furtwangler. But in the beginning, like the audience, he's coming in not knowing much, and he's trying to sort it out and figure out what's going on here.
I love the play, but the other actors, I think, had more dramatic roles, whether they're being scared or they're being vindictive or something. Your role really didn't have that much emotion. How would you comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely true. Again, I think that is part of playing that role, being the audience, being their connection on stage. So much like the audience, David Wills has to spend a lot of time listening, sorting through the facts, trying to make up his mind about who's good, who's evil, what actually happened. And as the audience goes on that journey, he goes on that journey with them also. So there's a lot of listening, which actually is a huge challenge in a lot of ways as an actor. When you have a lot of lines, when you score your piece and you see, okay, this is my emotional moment, this is where I, have these feelings, it's really easy to create a character and live inside of that. But when you spend so much time internalizing everything and listening to what's going on, you don't get that option to really to obviously build a character. It all has to happen in your own head, and some of that gets shared with the audience, but not a lot of it really. So it was a challenge for me, especially after doing something like Hamlet, where you're talking all the time and you're moving all the action and it's go, 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 go. This was a much more challenging part. Not more challenging, but it was a different type of challenge. Yeah.
Well, any advice you can give to younger actors who wants to become better artists?
Yeah. There's got to be something. I would say if you're, whatever art you're trying to pursue, if you're being true to yourself, if you're aware of why you need to do this thing, for me, I need to act, because I'm completely out of touch with my emotions if I'm not acting, and it's hard for me to communicate with others. Just know why it is you're doing it, give it your all, and be true to yourself. It'll work out.
That sounds a little bit like the maestro there, the conductor, where he was there because he wanted a job or because he wanted to compose. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's interesting, and that's kind of the question that everyone walks away with: is what was motivating him? What was it that he was actually doing in Nazi Germany? And I think that that's a valid argument on one side, that if you're an artist, if you truly know why you're doing what you're doing, you can't let that go. Being an artist, is a beautiful thing. You give joy to thousands of people, but it's also a very selfish thing. You're doing it for yourself. There's a reason, and it's not to better society. At least in my mind, it's not to it's because I need this thing. So it's kind of a selfish endeavor. But you get the chance to have all sorts of effects on people. And I think Furtwangler's in the same situation. He was saying, I need to work. I need to make my art. I need to make sure that art in Germany is great. I'm a guardian of this tradition. So he had all his own personal reasons, but when you take that in a broader context of what's going on with the Holocaust, with the Nazis taking over, it suddenly colors it very differently. So I think both arguments are very valid, that an artist needs to, absolutely be true to themselves, but also you're not within a vacuum. You have to be a member of the society that you're within. Yeah.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it, man.
I'm Ashton Marcus with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you are?
I'm Christina Tevis. I went to UC Irvine. That's where I went to college, and I had a really good experience there, and then I moved from there up into LA. I got interested with Little Fish from Shakespeare by the Sea, which is a really great company, and working with Stephanie, she always brings me along whenever she's got a great part for me, and so, it's been a good run working with these people, with this company, I played Tamara Sachs in Taking Sides. Tamara is a woman whose husband died in Auschwitz, but they were briefly saved by the hero, well, it's up to you to take a side, but by Wilhelm Furtwangler. And she has come to give testimony on his behalf because she believes that he is a hero, and so she's here to sort of demand that they listen to what she has to say. And she's a very strong woman, but she's had a lot of pain in her life.
So how long have you been acting?
I've been acting, it's such a cliche, but since I was a small child. As I've gotten older, I've learned new things about the whole thing, and I've gotten stronger and, learned more things as I've grown up through life. But I would say about 17, 18 years.
I've always had questions of actors. Were you just always an actor? Were you born this way, or did you become an actor?
Well, I think that some people find it, and some people, have always been that way. I know when I was 5, I used to stand up on tables and sing songs from Disney musicals. My parents always sort of knew that I was heading in a performance direction. So, it depends person to person, but I feel like I've always been an actor.
Did you feel like you were different from the other children?
Yeah, actually I did. Growing up, I felt a little bit like I had this ability to do this thing, but it was kind of weird. It was kind of an outsider kind of a thing, and it was like, oh, you do plays, that's cool. But I was so immersed in it that people didn't, I was busy all the time. People were like, oh, I'm having a party. I'm like, I have rehearsal. And it was kind of a funny experience in my life, and it still happens. My friends are like, oh, we're getting together. It's something going on. I'm like, I'm going to play. So, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I know a lot of musicians who, what they start as, well, I interview a lot of musicians, they have to start when they're children, and a lot of them have told me they've just always been, they can't remember when they weren't a musician.
Well, there's this funny thing, I think, amongst actors where we have a concept that is called theater people. And theater people are the people that that know what it's like to dedicate everything you have in your body, in your soul, in your being to this one specific thing where, your friends go to soccer practice and they do their homework and they do these things, but you're so engrossed in this sort of part of you. And I found as I started to get older, as I started to meet people that were interested in theater, that I was so much easier to connect with them, to click with them really immediately because they understood that same thing that I understood. Which is not to say that, you can't connect with lots of different types of people, but yeah.
Well, any advice you can give to, say, some of those younger people who think they're actors or growing up like that? Any advice?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that the most important thing is to find a good group of people that you like making art with and put everything you have into it. Just immerse yourself in that and be proud of the fact that you have this gift and just really, really, really pursue it. Don't give up. Don't get tired. Don't listen to people that say, well, yes, that's not practical or this. If there's something inside of you that says, I have to do this, then you have to do it, and you should do it. That's what I think.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here.
I'm Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
Stephanie Coltrane. I'm the director.
Oh, great. So did you choose this play, or did the artistic director choose it?
I chose it. It's a play that I've been familiar with for years and have always wanted to direct, so I asked for it.
So why did you choose? I mean, what was the motive behind it?
I chose it because I'm very interested in exploring what the role is of an artist in the face of the biggest horror we've ever seen. And I think it's a really interesting conversation given that we're all artists to have. So I was interested in exploring that in rehearsal. And I've also been very fascinated by... I've done a lot of reading about the Holocaust my whole life. Have been sort of thinking I could find an answer if I kept reading more. And the more I listen, the more, and what this play shows me is that there is what Tamara says, is whose truth. That you think you know the truth, and then you get another piece of information that tells you something else. So I think that's very interesting and a good reminder of how we're all members of the human race and what that means in the face of this kind of thing.
You chose the cast here. You hand chose them all. What were you looking for?
I was looking for people that could handle this material. This takes a very fine balance of people who can sort of argue their side of the argument, but balanced with the other actors. And it's also a lot of really heavy material, and I wanted people who could really soak into those characters and really just embody them completely.
Yeah. So how do you think the performance went?
I think it went great. I'm very proud of them. They're really so gifted and such smart people, and they're such giving artists, and I think that reads on the stage.
I think it was great also.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Thank you, and thank you for coming.
Okay. Is there any advice you can give to younger directors who actually want to create masterpieces like this?
Oh, thank you so much. I would say my biggest tool as a director is studying all art. Study music, study visual arts, study everything, because you never know when something you know from another medium might be able to inform something you're doing on the stage.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Taking Sides by Ronald Harwood will be playing at Little Fish Theatre from March 6th to April 4th. For more information, go to www.littlefishtheatre.org or search for AMB Theatre on Facebook. Good night.